We are live, and hopefully we're going to stay live this time. We've been having some Instagram challenges, but hopefully if we disappear, please go to KT Outside. That's my only message. Today we're back with Sarah Thornely in the UK, who is involved in so many great things over there and has a great story herself. So Sarah from Great Britain is here on our regular Thursday 1 o'clock, happens to be a Tuesday 1 o'clock, to make up for what didn't happen last Thursday. Thank you, especially those. Good evening in the UK. I know it's a little bit late there. Appreciate you doing this, and afternoon in North America. Thrilled to have everybody with us. We're going to talk about all kinds of things. Great story, just Supjunkie herself and her story, and just a lot about different people and organizations and expeditions and things that are going on in the UK, because Sarah seems to be in touch with everybody. Hello. Sarah! We're back.
Here we are again.
I'm trying not to hold my breath.
No, I'm just praying.
Yes. Well, I know we had so much to talk about, so let's just jump right back in. You have a great story, but we want to make sure to cover all the things that we had talked about. We already posted actually some great links, and want to hopefully we can mention all of those in our Supconnect live discussions Facebook group, which I hope you'll all join. I see lots of people saying hello from there. So nice of them to stay up and watch. But I think we started with what got you hooked. You weren't a water person or an athlete per se, but you found stand-up paddleboarding and got hooked. So kind of give us a nutshell of how that happened and what it was about stand-up paddling that you loved.
Well, first of all, and very, very quickly, thank you so much for having me on back. Third time lucky. Thank you, Kristin. So not a water baby, not into sport at all, just a regular mum bringing up kids and everything. I had a friend who was paddleboarding and I was just intrigued. So one day I just took myself along to the club, the Real Blue Chip Supper Club, got my feet on the board, loved it, just felt connected with the water. It was only on a river, but it was great. Then it was going into winter and I didn't love it that much to be paddling throughout the winter. Yes. I wasn't that sure. So and that Christmas I actually had an emergency operation, which was quite life-threatening. And it made me, makes you reevaluate your life and what's important to you and everything. And I thought, I've got to get out there. I've got to get out there and do stuff. So when the weather was good, I went back and got my feet back on that board. And I think within a few days, I bought that board. And within a few more weeks, I bought a race board. So,
I love how fast it all happened. Yeah.
I know. And from being, considering myself not very competitive, I realized very quickly that I was very competitive. So straight into the racing, had that year, obviously, I couldn't race because of the operation. And the next year I got a nasty virus, couldn't race. So I sort of thwarted a little bit, but loved it and just paddled with the club. They just were brilliant. And, we've talked about you guys in America not having clubs, and clubs are just awesome over here.
Agreed.
Yeah, I just loved it and just got totally sort of swept up in its accessibility and the people, the people. It sounds a bit of a cliche, but when you go to your first race and you haven't got a clue and you're really quite nervous and you just meet these people and they just give you a sup hug. And just, you're just wrapped up in an envelope of kindness and, it's just lovely. It is lovely. I'm sure you agree with that, Kristin.
Absolutely. Community is such a huge part of what we do, and it's repeated over and over again. Yes, my question always is chicken or the egg. Are people this wonderful because were they already this wonderful and they got into stand-up, or did stand-up and water and the love of outdoors make them into wonderful people?
A bit of both, I think.
Yes, I think a bit of both. Yeah. Well, so you had a strong racing career, though, for those 5 years before you, as you told me, you retired a few years back. But tell us in brief about that rise, because you were a national champion. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I know. It took me a little while to actually sort of voice that I am a national champion. I was in the 14-foot class. That was just the board that I bought. It was small, the class, don't get me wrong, because everybody was on 12.6s. It's now, obviously, most of them are on 14-foot. And I just battled away and just just loved it. I didn't really count the scores. I just, if I was on the top for, after race 2, that was brilliant. But I never really analysed it. And obviously I always did well with my age because I'm a certain age. And and that year I just thought, I'm doing everything. And I think I did about 16 races in about 6 months, and it was pretty hardcore. But I did all of the series races. I think it was the best 5 out of 8 or something, and I did all 8. I thought, I'm going to go for it. And that year they'd broken up a couple of the races into a sprint and a race, and you got points for each. And I was really good at sprinting, so I won those races. And I think I said to you last time, I had a friend who said, who's your nemesis? And I said, well, it's Christine Anderson. She's an amazing waterwoman, been a waterwoman all her life. I'll never beat her. And he said, no, don't be defeatist. I said, no, I'm being a realist. She's awesome. I'm just a paddler. Anyway, I did beat her. She had an injury and she made a mistake on the last race. And the last race was in Storm Bryan up in the Midlands. And it was, would it run, would it not? I took my old Faithful board that I'd had forever. I'd just got a new race board and I thought, no, I'll be off that. So I took my old Faithful and I won. And I was joint champion with, and I can say that now. I feel very proud because it wasn't an age-related thing. I was, over everybody, young and old alike. So, go.
Yes. Well, and you should be proud. I'm glad you own it. Sometimes it's hard to take those compliments and appreciate what you've earned, but you did earn it. And we are still early in the sport. We're just a little over 10 years in. And so, there are ups and downs and we're still sorting it all out. So it's so wonderful, though, to help. You're helping all of us out there listening and people who can listen afterwards. These are recorded. This one will be recorded. And yes, no, it will, because we're even doing a backup recording. So even if Instagram does something funny, but it's important. This, we're a part of history doing all of this and part of getting the water sport that we love so much going and connected. So let's keep going with the because again, you're connected with series and the racing part, but after you retired, I loved the whole announcing thing that you got into, kind of not accidentally, but somewhat.
Pretty much. Pretty much. So I retired. I wasn't, I had a bad back after the season because I'd done such a long season. I, wasn't ready to train again or race, and I planned to race again. And then I just wasn't ready for it. And I just thought, what, I think I'll retire. And Anthony was saying, you must go back and, retain your championship. I said, no, I think I'll just retire. So that's what I did. So I got involved in GBSUP, the GBSUP National Series, which had just been taken over by someone else. And he asked me to just ask Anthony and I just to be involved on the event side, really to sort of help people when they come along to their first race, give them a heads up as to what to do, envelope them in love as well, the sup lovers.
Fantastic.
And get them, connected and not to worry and have a lovely time. And then I was always taking photographs. A couple of years I couldn't race, so I would have a camera in my hand and I would always be taking photographs. And I always took photographs of everybody who crossed that line, not just the top 3, the top 5, the top 20. It'd be right down to the last person, because they for sure would not have photographs of them paddling. The guys at the front would always have those. So I was taking photographs at the first event, which was actually our club race, the Battle of the Thames, which is an amazing race, a 10-miler, so old school, been running for 10 years now. And I got on a boat with Mark Price, who was heading up GBSUP, and he was doing the first live feed in this country of a SUP race. And because I was on the boat with him, we got chatting, and I was involved in the live feed, and I can talk, so and I knew all the racers, so I could call them out, and name them, and it just went on from there, and I absolutely got a buzz out of it. I loved every minute. I thought, that's what I'm going to do. And I think the next race, Mark said, oh, could you just go off and do some interviews? I'm going to do live feed with someone else. And I sort of stuck my bottom lip out. I want to do the live feed. But I had to go and find a paddle. He said, go and find a paddle. So bless, I think it was Starboard, Tushingham. I went and grabbed a paddle. Got a different one now, but this is our paddle mic. So as you can see,
I
we've got
love
little
that.
stickers, and we put a little microphone on there, and off I went to interview people. I didn't have a clue. I just thought, I don't know how to interview. I don't know what I'm doing, but I just spoke to my friend, I suppose. I spoke to the people that I knew, asked them how the race had gone and what they were doing, and it just went on from there. And then the next race, I was back on the live feed, and I just loved it. So it just, I've never had any media, anything, training. No, you know, it's just have a go, and if you like it, and I suppose people knew me, so they were really happy generally to talk to me. And I would just sort of, you know, keep going back and wearing them down, and just having a nice chat, you know, and that's brings out the best in people, I think. Again, I'm sure you can agree with that. You know,
I can relate. I jumped into this not knowing how to interview, but I'm just having chats with wonderful people in the SUP community all over the world.
Yeah.
So media, so you ended up, you're a photographer already, you got into that, announcing as a surprise, but loved it, and you enjoy the conversation. Writing too, right? You've written articles for magazines. In fact, I got my subscription even before I think I talked to you. And look, right there. There's your name.
Oh, yeah, Jordan. I hope he's watching, actually. It'd be great if Jordan is watching. I sent him a message and said if he wasn't paddling, you know, could he watch? Yeah, that again happened quite organically. I was using a lot of my photographs or sending them in, and they'd be writing articles and said, could we use these photographs? So I'd always just send them the photographs. And then I think I wrote a little article about something, was asked to do it. And then it's just, again, I write for, oh, there he is, Jordan. Hello. Hi, Jordan. You're amazing.
Yes.
So I just started writing for them, and they obviously liked that. And I contribute every time the magazine comes out. I write for Stand Up Paddle Mag and their sister publication, The Paddler. The Paddler is more canoes, kayaks, but always try and feature a SUP issue. So, and that interview with Jordan was amazing. He is a very, very lovely man, very humble, doing an amazing thing. And I got a great interview even before he'd started. I don't think he'd even announced his Great British Paddle. Followed Jordan, the Great British Paddle. And I got a great interview. He was just lovely, and we paddled together as well on his journey, which was really special. And I've written about in the Paddler, which has just come out. The digital version has just come out today. I've written about Mike Shawman, who you've interviewed. So that was another lovely thing to be able to do. And I just met lovely people and just thought, you'd make a great story. And I just go in there again with my big feet and just say, you make a great story. Can I please write about you? And I just put things to the lovely people at Stand Up Paddle magazine. I will mention them. It's Peter and Anne, husband and wife. This magazine is a labour of love, absolutely. Peter is the designer and does all the, you know, all the advertisements and getting that together. And then you've got Tez who's the editor, who does an amazing job. He writes as well for them. So they've got a cracking team. And I just feel honoured to be having my, you know, I'm now a writer, I don't know, a journalist. I don't know. It's just weird. It's just bizarre. It's just an amazing story. So,
yeah, it's wonderful. And as I said last time, we need to clone you. We need more of you. And you're just such a positive person and such a supporter. And I think you have built that reputation, which makes it easy. You mentioned that it's easy to just have a conversation with someone, and they're willing to talk to you if you walk up with your fun mic with the with the little microphone. You said that was that you've had some of a learning curve, though, an investment just in getting equipment and such to do all of the media, because there are things, in fact, I tried to do something and I didn't have a phone gimbal thing that you must have if you're on a boat, everything's shaky. And like you said, microphones and that kind of thing. I'm just barely getting there, because these are just hook up to a telephone.
Some information, Kristin. I can help you with that, because again, that was a huge learning curve. And we launched Supjunkie at the APP World Tour that came to London. So that was 2 years ago. And again, we just, two very good girlfriends who I know are watching tonight, Sarah and Andrea, just like, you know, you've got to make this thing a thing. You've got to do it. You know, you need a name. I said, well, I've got Supjunkie. How about that? And they just encouraged me to make it a thing. So we did. We bought the T-shirt.
Yay!
And we just went to the APP with our mic and our gimbal, and just dived right in there again and met some incredible people. And I think we interviewed about 32 amazing paddlers. I mean, my last one, we packed up, we were sitting watching Kyle in his film, and we were packed up, and he was just sat behind with his parents, and I just went, oh, wish I could have got Kyle. And they went, get that gimbal out, get that phone featuring right now. And I did, and he was very gracious, and you know, they're professionals, so they do want to talk to you, but
they're also wonderful people.
Just fantastic.
Yeah.
And we came away, and then we had, you know, you do have to learn on the hoof. I mean, Anthony does the gimbal and the video editing, and I just stand and talk. So I think I've got the easy job.
How wonderful to have a team. So
yeah,
was it at this event or another one where the boat thing kind of happened? I think, was it at the APP event?
Yeah, that was quite funny. So we were filming, actually it happened twice, 2 years running. We were filming at the APP, and we were doing it for another race series as well, the UK NISCO, the One Design race. And then on the Sunday we were there, you know, we were there for the whole weekend. And the technical race was just about to start. And Anthony said, why aren't we on a boat? I said, well, they've got a media boat. They've got their guys here. I'm going to find us a boat. So he went and found us a boat with the, I think they were army guys or Marines or something. And we jumped on a boat and off we went, and just said, you know, keep away from the media boat. That's their job. And their live feed was breaking down and ours wasn't. So people were sort of bunny hopping on ours. So that was great. And then they ran out of gas. So they had to come and commandeer our boat. So they jumped on our boat. We were sort of shoveled to the back, quite rightly so. But then we followed the winners, I think it was Michael Booth, straight into the, you know, under the arch, and all the guys were there being interviewed, and we just sort of tagged on and just got stuck in again. So yeah, just little things like that, and you just sort of, you know, was that a meant to be moment? And then on the next year at the APP tour, I think they were recording their commentary for the sprints, and we just went live, and I was just standing there, you know, just doing a live feed of the whole amazing event. So yeah, so it's bonkers. It's bonkers.
Yeah, but absolutely fantastic. Well,
Yeah.
we already mentioned there's a big expedition going on right now, all the way around the UK.
Yeah.
And he's here with us, listening. So I guess he's on a break between paddling. But
Yeah.
for those who haven't read the great article you wrote, give us a little synopsis of how long he's been at it, and what Jordan's goals are, and how long it's going to take.
Yeah, not very long. He's not been traveling for long. So Jordan does some incredible adventures, and he is raising money for frontline children, which they're building a school on the Horn of Africa, I think it is. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jordan. I should know that. And his goal this year was to run 10 marathons in the coldest places on Earth. COVID's happened, so he couldn't do that. So he needs to raise the money before the end of the year, because they just need to get this school built. It's half built. I mean, it's incredible. So he thought, what else can I do? And he just had a go at paddleboarding, really liked it, and thought, oh, I'll paddle around Great Britain. To do. And he's doing it. I mean, it's just incredible for a man who's not, you know, by his own admission, don't get me wrong, I'm not putting him down, he's amazing. But by his own admission, he's not the fastest. He's not he's not been paddling for long. He started off in Essex, and he's paddled all the way around the south coast. He's come up round Land's End, and he's had some pretty gnarly weather, and it has been very tough. He was run aground by a jet ski. He's had a cut leg, which has caused him all sorts of issues. They lost their boat pretty much immediately. But you know, he's now just reached Ireland. He's sort of in between Ireland and England, but they've got a boat back again. But he's just doing an amazing thing. So please check out the Great British Paddle. You can track him live, which is really quite exciting. Yeah. You've not gone on there for a day, and then you ping in and you go, oh my goodness. He's had people helping all the way around the coast. You know, just giving him and his team a bed for the night, a hot meal, a roast, you know, coming down to the beach with a cup of hot chocolate. And he's just, you know, having now met him, he's a very humble human being, but he's doing a great thing. And we obviously all wish him the very best of luck. He thought it would take him 3 months. It's probably knocking on 6. you know, he's got, you know, he's got a tough bit to do up
Yeah.
in Scotland and down the East Coast, but you know, he's determined. He's got determination, so he could do it. I think he will do it.
Yes. We're with
Hallelujah.
you, Jordan. It's very exciting. And I
Yeah.
know one of the tools he uses, I have interviewed David Walker, and I think both of you are on the ambassador team for
Yeah.
Paddle Logger, which is another fun way to see what he's doing, are
Yeah.
those recaps, and a great tool, and a safety tool for a lot of us out paddling, important in that way.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
there's also kind of a group of ladies. I saw Samantha Rudd on here, Cal Major. I was part of a film festival. I don't think it made it over there. It was in the U.S. and something she had made a couple years ago. A great little film about going up the coast. But there's so many paddlers doing good things with. There's so many events doing good. Again,
Yeah.
that just seems to be part of our community, which is so fantastic. So maybe mention. I think there was somebody else too that I'm forgetting that
Well,
has
yeah,
done
Cal
some
Major
event.
has just done a paddle the whole of the River Severn, and that was I think that took her a week, but it was really highlighting the plastic pollution. So
Mm-hmm.
that, you know, that is what she's very good at. There are a couple of girls as well, Sian Sykes, who did an amazing trip doing the same sort of thing, and Lizzie outside, Lizzie Carr, who
Oh yeah.
um, is just about to have a baby. So
Oh.
congratulations before you have your baby, Lizzie. And they're all doing incredible things. But Sam Rutt is the one at the moment who she was supposed to be doing the double channel crossing, so cross to France and back. She's had so many problems. Poor girl. She's so determined. She's raising money again. All these people raise money for their charities, which is great. And she has not been able to do it, and it was not her own fault. It was basically red tape. So she's now paddling from the tip of Scotland down. She's having to break it up because, again, the weather, you know, we're going into the winter. It's first day of autumn here, so we've got autumn and winter, and the
Right.
weather will change. But she is determined, absolutely determined, to get her paddling in, and she's got a couple of weeks, and she's going to just do as much paddling as possible. And who knows where she'll go, but she's changed from being a racer. In fact, I'm writing an article about her for the next magazine, which is due out in October. She's determined, and she, you know, they want this adventurous life, and I think that's probably what you know, my racing days are over. I'm loving the, you know, the work that I do, but I want to get out there and do some more adventures and challenge myself a little bit. Nothing crazy like around Great Britain. I'll leave that to the others.
We've got Jordan doing that. So
Yeah,
Samantha's on too. Good luck to you, Samantha, and what you're
yeah,
doing, and
love to.
anybody else who's out there doing. Yeah, that's just, I think we love this so much. We want to find, you know, any way that we can connect with the water. So along those lines, and do you have some places? Let's do both, maybe favorite places you've been so far to paddle, and where do you really want to go to paddle? Like anywhere in the world, or maybe you want to tell us about
Yeah.
favorite places in Great Britain, either one.
Yeah,
Both.
I've got a very favourite place in Great Britain, which now everybody knows about, but it's still beautiful. And it's very local. It's on the River Wey in Surrey, and it's quite, it's just along a canal, and it's just beautiful. It's just the green countryside. But you paddle along there, and then suddenly you are hit with this most beautiful 11th century priory. And it's just
Mm.
stunning. When you know, somewhere I'll take a friend who wants to learn to paddle because it's safe, it's not tidal, and it's just beautiful. And we do our real blue chip supper club paddles there. We do a full moon paddle there, so we'll go when it's dark, and we take all our lights, and it's just beautiful. It's sort of quintessentially British, so that's lovely. I've been very lucky to be able to paddle in Australia and New Zealand. And New Zealand, we were going to live there for a couple of years, and again, that was, you know, something happened that we couldn't do that. But we stayed in Mount Maunganui, which is in the north of the North Island, and we've got a beach side and a sort of surfy side, or a bay side and a surfy side. And we were actually going to go and live there for a year. Beautiful place. Just stunning, and the fact that it had surf. I wasn't surfing then, but I am now, and you know, I'd love to go back there. And I absolutely adore New Zealand. The other place I'd love to go to paddle is somewhere like Milford Sound in New Zealand, because I've been there. I've been on a boat there, but to paddle there would just be absolutely stunning. Yeah, so I think that's it really. And we have a couple of girlfriends and I've got a trip where we want to go to Italy and paddle around a particular lake. So hopefully that will happen next year or the year after. It'll happen at some stage.
Yeah. I mean, I can't help but talk about travel, but it's hard right now, not knowing when we will be able to do it again and where. And yeah,
Yeah,
in
but it
it's
makes
a
you
strange year.
appreciate your own
Mm,
country. You know,
hmm.
we're stuck here, but gosh, it could be worse, couldn't it? You know, we live in a
Oh,
beautiful country, and I've got the coast 40 minutes away. I've been down to the ocean a couple of days, this week,
right.
and
And
we're
we're
really lucky. So we're sort of exploring, I suppose, our own country and going
right,
to places we may not go because we're always jumping on a plane, and so I think it's a positive, really.
right.
But
I
also,
think we are very lucky. And
yeah,
we enjoy something that's outside and naturally distant from each other, being an individual watercraft. So
yeah, yeah.
yes, agree. Very lucky. So I think like Europe has quite a few spots. I have not paddled in Europe. Have you done that December race? That's the largest in the world, I believe. Have you done that before?
Yeah,
The
I actually did that when I first started paddling. I'd only been paddling really less than a year, not really properly because I'd had my operation. And this race came up, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm into that." Press the button, off I go. And I went off with a couple of friends, and um, I think the night before when we drove across the Seine, and I looked down into its black swirly water, and I thought, "Oh Lord,
what am I doing?
what am I doing?" I borrowed a board, and I think that year, I mean, that must have been 2014. I think that year there may have only been 300 paddlers. I mean, it's up to 1,000 now. And I paddled way to the back. I just got out in the water and went way to the back. I thought, I'm not getting caught up in all that mush. And off we went. And then I got determined and I just started picking people off. And I loved it. The people falling in all over the place. You start at silly o'clock in the morning and it's dark and it is swirly and you get standing waves under the bridges. But if you get the opportunity, it's beautiful. I mean, you are going through the iconic sites, of Paris, but if you're racing, you sort of have your head down.
Yeah.
But to do it as the tour, section of it would be amazing. And I think it's great. And the organisation was incredible, that just the way they had, bus people there with the boards, and it was just amazing. Yeah, really, really good. And again, now people can't get in. There wasn't a ballot when I did it. I just pressed the button and away I went. So it's much more difficult to get into now. And the other one actually that I would like to do, which just come up on my Facebook feed, is
Hmm.
the Corinth Canal, which is in Greece, which is this incredibly, they get boats through, but they're literally inches either side, and they shut it for one day of the year. I think it's only 5K, and off they go. And I think again, it's six,
I'll
700.
meet you there next year. That's on my list
Yay!
too.
Okay, cool.
I'm just
Let's do
deciding
that.
that now, but yes, I saw that
Okay.
was just supposed to be happening, but yeah, that is
Yeah.
definitely one. Oh, David's going to meet us there too. Yes.
Yay.
Yeah, Gla Gla was mentioned. I know that's another winter. It's funny that we love like the crazy ones that are, coldest time of the year. Sure, let's go bundle up and
Yeah,
do a
yeah.
paddle.
Yeah, I've got some friends who did the Glargler actually last year, and they absolutely loved it. And I think they're all booked in for this year. Obviously, it didn't happen, but I think that's a good one.
Yeah.
I just couldn't. I do love the sun. I do love the heat, and I just couldn't bring myself to get there. But I know they take OCs as well, so I might even just chug my OC down there and go and do it on the OC as
There you
well.
go. Or borrow one from there also.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, you I forgot to say at the beginning there was the little hook because nobody has guessed yet right yet, and we're not going to give it away yet. But you said you weren't very athletic, but you did compete in a sport for 1 year. So you guys need to try to guess what the one sport that Sarah did compete in for 1 year, and I'll try to remember to tell you guys at the end. I forgot to mention
Yeah.
that at the very beginning.
Sam Rutt, you keep quiet, Sam Rutt.
She knows already. Yeah, the heat, that's an interesting thing because I have found humidity. I don't live in humidity, one of the most challenging things actually in terms of racing. But
Yeah.
I certainly love to visit a tropical place, when you're able to lounge or jump in the water.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And to be paddleboarding in a bikini, that would be fab. We're generally, well, we can get away with shorts and t-shirts on a good day, but you know, generally it's leggings and yeah, we have had a great summer. The day we had lockdown, you know, it was just the most beautiful weather all the time we were locked in. It was beautiful. So we have had a great summer. We've been very lucky this year.
That's good. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Like you said, you're a positive person and looking at silver linings, but there have been many. I mean, getting to do this kind of thing, I think there was a lot of, not just me, but there were a lot of interviews and podcasts in the SUP world. So we'll have some content to catch up on as we get busier, and people are getting out more. I know, I almost got to do a real race, but it didn't quite happen. They shut down my campground, but we have other issues. We have wildfires in the western part of the U.S. that are quite scary, and the smoke and all of that.
Yeah.
We like to ask the interviewees some top three things to help someone get into stand-up paddleboarding. I mean, building this from the bottom, we want to share our passion. We want more people to stand up paddle, which actually this COVID thing has brought that out in people. They're actually selling like hotcakes here, along with other hard goods from, you know, bicycles and camping equipment and surfboards, skateboards, stand-up paddleboards right in there with it. So what are some tips to getting started, would you say?
Oh, this is an interesting one. I'm just about to write an article about support, who supports you, and I think have a lesson. That would be my number one tip. I know there's so much on social media and online. There's some fantastic training videos, but I just don't think you can beat a good old-fashioned lesson. You know, at our class, I'm an instructor and we teach a 2-hour lesson. We drum into them safety, 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 about the river. We're teaching on the river, but we talk to them about the ocean as well. Talk to them about talking to other people. You know, if I leave them with nothing else, go and ask the locals. And, you know, if you go down to the beach, go and ask the locals about where you should paddle. So I think have a lesson, and then just get online and learn other stuff and whatever. For someone who bought her board just by standing on it and buying it, I would advise you to go and try lots of boards. You know, if you get the opportunity, that, you know, there are open days, and if you've got the choice of, I don't know, 3 or 4 boards, just go and have a play if you can. It's not quite so easy with paddles in this country. You don't get demo days with paddles, but you certainly do with boards. And I think if you can have a play, because anybody can tell you, you know, you get the questions come up on Facebook, what board should I buy? You know, that's such an open-ended question. It depends what you want to do. And it, you know, I think you can pretty much tell when you get on a board, you try 3 or 4, that you know, you just by feel, which feels right. So I think that's a good tip. And join a club. If you've got a local club, join a club, because they will then help you with whatever you want to do. You may just want company. You may want to race. You may want to adventure. You may want to play SUP polo. Our club is probably the biggest playing SUP polo club in the country.
Love it.
National champions, of course. But we're just getting new people in to play it all the time, and they love it. So joining a club just gives you that opportunity to ask questions and find stuff out, you know, by talking to people rather than finding it on the internet. The internet is amazing, don't get me wrong, I love it, but there's nothing like joining a club and being part of you know, a group of people who are like-minded and will give you confidence as well. So, and that's key as well, confidence. There are lots of people who, you know, they don't know how to get back on their board, you know, and that's really important, but it doesn't sort of happen straight away. You often don't fall off your board, you paddle, and you know, if you can learn that within the sort of safety of your group and with other people, that's what I'd say to new people, definitely.
Excellent. You mentioned the lesson thing, which I completely agree with. It's been very interesting because there are a couple international organizations that certify people to teach, but it seems to be more regional and more by area. And I think one of the big ones, we put a link, you mentioned, is the WSIA. I know they do a number of things, including trips, but do they certify instructors?
The WSA. So I'm an ambassador for them as well. I'm also an ASI qualified instructor, and that's where I went first of all, because I thought I might be teaching abroad. We've got you know, 3 or 4 in this country. But I've been sort of keeping an eye on the WSA because they teach so many levels of paddleboarders. So you'll get the, you know, the flat water. And don't get me wrong, the ASI do this brilliantly well as well. But I think the WSA, you know, they're teaching flat water, they're teaching surf, they're teaching adventure paddling. You know, you can go off and spend a whole weekend with them in the Highlands, learning about camping outdoors. And yeah, I've just been slowly, quietly watching them, and I just really like what they're doing. And they're a great bunch of people. And they asked me to be an ambassador, and I said yes, that would be really nice, because I think they're a decent bunch of people. So I think they're doing great things.
Yeah.
And there are other associations, you know, again, it's like, who should I get my qualification with? It's another question on Facebook or social media, and you get everyone jumping in with their favourites, but they'll all give you a qualification at the end of the day. So to me, it's just pick the one that you feel is right for you, and yeah, go for it there. But no, the WSA have got some great ambassadors as well. Yeah, they're good bunch of people. Yeah,
absolutely. I found them. I think I told you, I feel like, as wonderful and all the things going on in the UK, that seems a little insular. It doesn't always get outside of the UK. I think you just guys have so much going on. But they had a trip to Nepal some years ago, very early, that I was just drooling over. I wasn't able to make it happen, but
it's going to happen again. They will put that on their schedule. So again, I'll meet you in Nepal, Kristin.
Okay, there's another. I love all our travel plans. We're going to have the whole next 5 years all booked up.
Yeah, good.
Sounds good. I do look forward to meeting you. We will paddle together at some time soon.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then in terms of race series, we won't spend too much time. I think it's where we got cut off last time, but the GBSUP, there are a couple of organizations, but is GBSUP sort of leading the way with the series, or do you have which nothing is wrong with multiple series. We certainly have that in the US and trying to organize that come out of.
Sorry. We do actually have one organization that is leading the way for regular racing. So the National Series. So it's a GBSUP National Series. They are races between 5, we'll do sprints as well, but basically between 5K and sort of 10 miles. We have a series of 8 races. We actually have a sprint championship, which is brilliant. And the reason that is so brilliant is because Mark Price, who heads up GBSUP, got together the Canoeing Federation and the Surfing Federation, which is something that the rest of the world has been unable to do. And they worked together and brought together an amazing sprint, 2 sprint races. So big up Mark Price for doing that. You know, we are a team, but he's the man who sort of opens his arms to letting people in, I suppose. And then you have the people who used to run GBSUP have moved on to running endurance races. So we've got an amazing. They haven't happened this year. They've just actually been cancelled. You know, understandably so. And I think they're passing that over to someone else next year. But that is, you know, that's what floats people's boats. You know, doing 90K on the Great Glen in Scotland, the Norfolk Broads. They used to do one on the Thames. So there is something for everyone. And then you have all the clubs often hold winter series. So again, a great reason to be a member of a club is that throughout the winter, they will hold their own winter frostbite series, and they'll race every week. So yeah, going back to
wonderful,
the club, fantastic thing.
And although I said there aren't clubs in the same sense that you seem to have them in the UK and what we see in Australia and the beach clubs or whatever those are called, where everybody belongs to something, one benefit we have in Southern California are the outrigger clubs, because they do have clubs and properties, and they run a winter series, and they invite us as one of the divisions, the stand-up paddlers. So that I'm hoping that they'll be able to have that happen. And again, that, you know, you've got your locations, you got your group of people, they put them on, they're often low cost because they don't have the same overhead as, we are very challenged in having coastal things. Being a very high tourist area, I think, is one of the reasons we have very expensive permitting and certain things like Battle of the Paddle, Pacific Paddle Games. That was always one of the huge challenges, is where it is. Very popular place. So we do have some. We do have some. But we need to get the stand-up involved in that, because it can be such an individual thing, and yet we all want community and we all want to have people. I mean, I definitely did it on my own to start with because I just knew I would love it so much, but I right away, like you, got into racing and found community. Yeah. So you gave us some great tips on what to do. How about mistakes? What have you seen along the way that you think would be mistakes to avoid when you first getting in? And again, there's that base. We want people to love stand up. And I think Samantha or somebody said, everybody wants to race, they just don't know it yet. But those of us who race, you will find your niche. And you and I both love a lot of the niches. Surfing and racing are two of them. But 90% of the world is just enjoying stand-up paddling just for recreational purposes. And that's great too. So just what are some mistakes to avoid? Do you see that most common mistake? Again, if they took a lesson, they probably wouldn't be doing it, but I've seen so much of it lately. The paddle.
That one. Oh, yes.
Is that the same internationally, that everybody has their paddle backwards?
Absolutely. And I even had a discussion with a gentleman on the beach because he insisted that he was correct. Saying that, with respect, I'm an instructor and I do know this stuff, so try it. Oh, well, I find it better the other way. I said, no, seriously, dude, try it the other way. Check your shoulders. And no, there is have a lesson, you'll know which way the paddle goes round. But there are people buying boards off the internet, which again, it's no bad thing. It's getting people on the water. Some people don't have £700 to buy a board. They might only have £200. It's getting them on the water. But maybe go and have a lesson, just for safety's sake, more than anything. On my local beach, I think I went down the weekend or a couple of weekends after lockdown as we were released. And I must have seen about 100 paddleboarders on the water. I have never seen that many in that location. And probably 75% of those were boards with no lesson, putting a child on a board without a PFD or a life jacket. It's got to be about safety, learning. I generally think about the ocean when I think that, because I didn't, as a stand-up paddleboarder, spend much time on the ocean, so didn't know about the safety. I didn't know about the water. Now I do out, OC1 as well. I know more. I've learned more. I'm much more connected, and I make sure I'm much more safety conscious as well in the OC. And so I've learned a lot. So, gosh, mistakes, put your paddle around the right way, please. Pop the board up a lot, don't paddle it like a banana. But don't be pressurized either into doing what other people want you to do. Maybe just do what you want to do, and nothing is wrong, really. If all you want to do is poodle up and down the river, then poodle up and down the river. If what you want to do is race, then come and see me or Sam Rutt and we'll get you racing. So I just think there are a couple of people I've recently been chatting to or have made posts about paddling on their own, and they come along, they are training on. Well, I trained on my own. I never had a training buddy, but I think it's grown so much that you don't have to be alone either. You can, and if you're a bit scared or a bit worried about, talking, finding your group, just jump in, think of Supjunkie and just go jump in, it'll be okay. And you'll find some very sort of like-minded people, and don't believe that we all know what we're doing, even now. Don't believe that all those racers, when you pitch up for your first race, know what they're doing, or that it's not their first race, and I think that's what you believe, isn't it? You just think, oh gosh, they want to know what they're doing and I don't. And it's not often the case. You'll find after who have never done this before. So, yeah.
Yes, we talked a bit about that. The not to sound boastful, but we both have the wisdom that comes with age that allows you to just go forward and not be afraid of what people think, and just do what you know to do and say what you say your thing. So definitely makes a difference. Any other people? I think we hit quite a few of them that we didn't. Mike Shorman just wrote a book. We're so excited for him and what's going on. And Paddle Logger is really growing. It's really involved with. We're doing a little paddle around the world thing through Paddle Monster that he's involved with it and helping the tracking. So many people doing the great expeditions and things and racing, and all levels are so exciting. I love that you support all of that. And it's fun to be, I'm going to be posting some pictures on Supconnect discussions on Facebook, and you have a lot of the people you've interviewed, and it's wonderful that we have those pros. But I want, just in the racing part of things, I want to make sure we're making it comfortable, as you said, for everybody to get in. We want to have, I want, as an age grouper, I want to know where I rank and how I stand in my age group.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
always wonderful to be overall, do well, overall, but
Yeah.
I think those are things we're still working out. And it would be great. Some of this COVID stuff has had some positive benefits. I got in a ongoing one where we put times up, and Verity Thomas, do you know her?
Oh, yes.
She's very fast, and she lives in an island between France and England that I didn't even know. Brittany? I mean,
Yeah.
no, what is it
Jersey.
called?
She
Jersey.
lives on
Yeah.
Jersey, yeah, the Channel Islands. No, VJ, I think I've only probably met her once. I mean, she lives in Jersey. I have been to Jersey because I went there to do an OC race. And she is a very talented young lady. She has a sister as well who's very talented. And she has been smashing out the virtual racing, which is
And it's
great,
so fun.
isn't it?
And it's not somebody I would have met probably, or, now I'm going to be looking for her, if we ever,
absolutely. Look for VJ, yeah, and she's got a little boy who's paddles as well, and she does lots of downwinders. No, she's done really well, and I think she's also raced in Europe. So if you go to Europe, you're almost more likely to see her there. It's quite tricky to get from Jersey to the UK. It's a ferry ride. You've got a 14-foot board to bring along. It's not easy, and often they're cancelled because of bad weather, and the ferry won't run. But she definitely wants to come across and do some more GBSUP races, which is great. But she's totally smashing it out of the park at the moment, VJ. Yeah, she's a good girl. So, and she's actually she's writing a piece for me for Supmag. So for the next one, because I think I told you we've got very exciting issue for the October issue of Stand Up Paddle Mag, which Tez and Peter and Anne have sort of gone with the suggestion and just made it grow, and they're just being brilliant about it, and it's going to be the most fantastic issue. So yeah,
it's a great fantastic, and it is a great magazine. I've really enjoyed it, and I haven't even gotten through it. Just a lot of content and pictures and variety. So if they're listening, good on ya.
Absolutely.
That's the wrong country. But any other individuals? I mean, your story alone is fantastic. I'm so glad to figure out. I knew there was a Sarah that was Supjunkie, but I somehow couldn't find your last name. But you were mentioned again, left and right, as someone who would know about all things going on there.
Yeah. Well, it's people do message me, bless them. I have a couple of people who I'm their Sup guru, and if they need to know something about Sup, they'll message me. And if I don't know the answer, which generally I hope I do, I will find out for them. So I just want to be a sort of a beacon of positivity and promote the Sup community here, the Sup community of the world, and having interviewed some of these big names, that is fantastic. But what I'm all about is the guys here, and I've just thought of something else that I'm going to do next week, which is basically promoting the smaller British brands who support the Sup community, because I think they must have had a bit of a tough time over the little while. But I mean, people like Paddlebogger Dave, I'm an ambassador for him, and I paddle with him, and we have a lot of giggles, and it's great. We met him actually at the APP a couple of years ago. Anthony went and found him and sort of dragged me over with the mic and said, "You've got to interview this guy. He's got fascinating story." And that's we've grown. It's just brilliant meeting these people. I'm just trying to think of other people. There are just so many. There are so many people. There's a lovely girl, I hope she's watching, Karen Greener, who is, again, the first time I met her, she'd paddled for about 3 weeks. She came down to do the championships, the UK NISCO, which is this one design where everybody raced. And she was very fearful, very tearful, not sure about the whole thing, very nervous. And I just took her aside. I think lots of people did, actually. And I just took her aside and just said, "Look, you'll be fine. This is a big family, 100 racers. This is a big family. They will look after you. Just go and have a go. What can go wrong?" She won the national championships last year on on the inflatable. She's now just gone over. I think she'll be going over to hardboard. She is a very, very dedicated young lady.
Love
and
it.
it's been amazing to watch her rise. That's what I love, is watching someone take their baby steps and then move on up and have a go. And yeah, it's very exciting. Another couple of people, Cassie and Mark Salter. Mark Salter is another one who's just he is training and he's doing so well, and he's going to do so well. He's transitioning from 12 foot 6 to 14 foot next year, and I can't wait to see him and his wife. They have an amazing, probably one of the strongest clubs in the country. There are a couple actually. One is the Northern Sup race team, and Cassie and Mark. They have a huge crowd of friends, basically. But they're a real club, and they go off and they do adventure paddles, and the support from Cassie for her team. I have seen her at the races. She doesn't race. She's there with a megaphone or a horn, and she is willing her flock to race and put their hearts into it. And everyone who finishes, she's got a big hug for them. I mean, that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's just, there are just some amazing people around in the country and the world,
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to mention, and I'm sorry, I only know the females, like Marie Buchanan and Ginny Betts, who I've gotten to meet because they have traveled outside of the UK and are great representatives. And before we go, the ISA, besides the APP event being in England, you went out of country and helped cover one of the ISA championships, correct?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. So we covered an event in this country, one of the GBSUP National Series races, which was going to the youngsters, or not necessarily youngsters, but they were going to qualify for the ISA Worlds in China that year. And that was in May, and we watched them do it. And it was very exciting because I think I said to you last time, it's people we knew, Marie, Ginny, Ben Pye, Aaron Rowe, and to see them all, get their places was truly, truly exciting. And on the way home, I said to Anthony, I think we should go to China. And he just said, I think we should too. So that night I got home and sent a message to the manager, who we just met very briefly on a boat. And I just said, look, this is who we are. This is what we do. We want to come along because we want to cover our guys, not anybody else particularly. We'll cover it all, but this is who we want to cover. We want to promote these guys and bring their stories back to the UK and to their friends and family. And he just wrote back and said, you're in. So for the next 3 months, I was, head down computer. I was doing video, what would I call it? Basically doing a sort of a blog about that paddler and getting it out because we were looking for sponsorship. And we did. We just, it's just, again, one of those things that was just a bit bonkers. And suddenly we're doing all this work, and a couple of times I had my head in my hands, just sort of sobbing and going, I can't do this. But we did go, and we did go with the team, and the team were incredible, and they just loved, they loved what we were doing. So we were sort of, I just hopefully took a bit of pressure off them to promote and do their social media. And they just did. I do think it had a little bit to do with us. Let's take that. They came 10th in the world, and they were amazing.
Yay, Team Great Britain.
They were just awesome. And it was just the most fantastic trip to be involved. And again, we were embraced into that team.
Such a neat experience. And I am hoping, following things at the top, that this strange thing between the ISA and ICS actually is wonderful for us, because next year I believe they are both going to have world championships, and there's nothing to me like that whole camaraderie of countries competing against each other and yet being there together. And I just think that's a good thing for the world. So hopefully we'll have a couple of those
championships. Why not?
And hopefully you go to both of them and cover them both. And I have to agree. I don't know if whoever's on with the paddler, if that's Tez or who that is, but Anthony sounds really cool. Give Anthony a hug. I love how supportive he is and how gung-ho to do all these things for this that you built. Oh, Marie's on too. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Marie. That's very sweet.
Great.
Yeah, but those girls, again, we've got some fantastic paddlers in this country. Ginny is, she's not been around for that long, but she is the most awesome paddler. She's so strong. Marie has been around for longer, and she has got that longevity. She just keeps going. And I've spoken to her a couple of times, and she said, that's it, I'm no more. She comes back for more. And she is just
Yes,
Yeah,
I had the pleasure of meeting Marie in the waves in Doheny at
oh,
before. I don't know if it was a Pacific
lovely.
Paddle Games.
Yeah,
Hi,
yeah.
Marie. I've met you before.
She's great. She's really great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
So, thank you so much. Wow, what wonderful information. You have a fantastic story. Keep being the wonderful supporter and positive energy there in the UK and Great Britain. And we're going to stay in touch. I think 2021, I'm going to meet you in person somewhere in the world, right?
absolutely.
Actually, I'd love just to come to Great Britain. It sounds
Yeah,
fantastic.
come and play. You have a whole community of people opening their doors for you, which is what we do for. I'm sure you do it in your country, but when we had the APP, we opened our doors. You know, I was a taxi driver for Seychelles and Casper and all sorts. You know, it's what we do, and you'll be very, very welcome to come. We'd love to have you. But let's go somewhere and do a live feed on a
Yeah.
race or something, and go and do some
There
more
you
things
go.
together. That'd be cool.
Okay, I'm going to work on getting my equipment so I'm up with you on all of that, and I will
Yeah.
do as you do and cover things that way. Well, somebody did guess, but I think it's one of your best friends who already knows. So, what was it? The sport you competed in for 1 year?
For 1 year only, when I was younger, I was about 27, I think, I
Hmm?
did bodybuilding.
Love
So
it.
the whole, and I think if you look on my Instagram, my Tizzy Snaps in Instagram, I think I posted the photos. My very good friend Sarah Perkins challenged me to post those photos because I'm in a tiny little bikini and I'm doing some amazing things. Again, it's something I did. It helped me through
Yeah.
a tough situation, actually,
Mm.
mentally. I went to the gym to, to deal with something, and I just got wrapped up in what they were doing and just
Hmm.
never thought, do it. I did 4 competitions and I just loved it. Training 2 hours a day for 6 days a week. I got so strong. I was never that strong paddling, but I was, much younger and put the time in, I suppose. Yeah. And it really did me good mentally. So you can find the photos, have a look. And again, it was something I did. But my kids, every time they meet a new friend, it's like, Mummy, have you got those photos? I'm like, okay. But
Well,
again, I'm proud. I'm proud of that. It's
as you
something I
should
do
be. So
quite usually.
fantastic. And it doesn't surprise me that you jumped in with 2 feet. You're very passionate about that. And we're very lucky that you're really passionate about paddle sports because I can tell your wonderful energy is going to keep our sport growing and going in a positive direction.
I hope so. That's all I want to do. I've often said, I mean, we don't make any money from Supjunkie. We've never had that in our minds. If Supjunkie went tomorrow, it would be okay, but it wouldn't be okay. It's not. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for other people and just to promote the wonderful sport we have and the wonderful people and just to get involved. And I do truly love it, and I get very, very excited. I was excited about this, and thank you. And Kristin, I must say thank you so much for all you do for the sport. You are amazing, and you did the most amazing the diversity panel chat.
Oh,
I sat and watched that, and
thanks.
I just thought it was so beautifully done. If people haven't seen it, you need to go and find that and watch that because it was so beautifully done. I saw people on there that I didn't know, and they spoke so. I don't know. I couldn't think. I've been trying to think of the right word. Gently about
Mm-hmm.
the situation, and I loved it. And you are an ambassador for our sport, absolutely. So thank you
We
so
all
much.
do again. Thank you. And remember, everyone, thanks for being here and joining us. If you have friends that didn't get to watch it, it's immediately recorded on IGTV for Supconnect. And then we also have it in 2 places on YouTube, both Supconnect, and then I started a YouTube last week to try to collect all the different things, including those discussion talks on Zoom that I'm having about different topics and things. Because
Yeah,
I think it's
yeah,
always good to have a conversation and talk. It's how we get to know wonderful people like you. So thanks for
and
being
me
here.
too.
Join us on Facebook at Supconnect Live Discussions, and I'm going to go post some pictures of you and different things that you've done.
Yeah,
Great
we
talking
did
with
it,
you.
Kristin. We did
Yay!
it. Third time lucky. Thank you so much, and thanks everybody
Thank
for
you.
watching. You're all amazing.
Yeah,
Thank you.
take care. Bye.